And now we are going to welcome Roger Reynolds, who did this beautiful wood sculpture. And the sculptures my mom and I are used to seeing are usually 20 times that size. But if you have any final things you want to write and quickly put into the sculpture, I wrote a poem from Marnie's booth and put it in the sculpture. But he will be lighting it now, and we welcome Roger Reynolds to light our collective fire. Please bring your attention to him and his wonderful art. And he will also be doing a spoken word performance after he lights the fire. Thank you, Roger. All of the wood Roger uses, he finds in the forest. So there's quite a process of collecting and then of gathering and then of making it into abstract art. And if you're interested in his work, he has bookmarks up on the table with his information.
Like life.
Woohoo!
Things don't always go as planned. Let me get
Thank you, Roger.
Give a little breathe. So Caitlin, tell something about seeing one of my fires.
Okay, so the last fire Roger did was so beautiful. I felt like I was at the Art Institute of Chicago. He wove different red wood and white wood, and it was this. I felt like I was around it, and I was, experiencing some sort of spiritual. It was 30 feet high. It was on a local property. And I asked him as my friend, would you please do this at the general store without burning down the building? And he said, yes, I can totally do that, which is lovely.
I might have been a little more cautious.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yay.
So welcome. The first thing, I have never been part of the creation of a migration before. So that was pretty amazing when it got mentioned, come and do this right before, and like 20 people came over, and I was like, I have never helped create a migration before, so that warmed my heart for sure. So I think we have ignition. I'm gonna light this one, which also the amount of people who shared, I think I'm gonna make sure this is going. I think we're looking good. You guys from that side can tell me if the flames go away. We're looking good.
Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to tell a story, part of the story of my life and why I do this. So, first of all, yeah, it's pretty amazing to me to see that sculpture be populated with pieces of paper from other people. I took some pictures close up because that meant a lot to me. I live with complex PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Karen mentioned a tough childhood. I have a tough childhood. I'm not going to tell you the stories of that. Does anybody here know the story or the book, The Land Remembers? Okay, my grandmother went to school with Ben Logan. I grew up going to the same high school where Ben Logan went. I'm working on a book, and if my book were to have a title inspired by that, it would be titled, if everybody remembers, the Logan family was very kind and caring and giving. Mine would be titled, This Ain't the Land Remembers. So, the working title is The Scapegoat Escapes. complex PTSD is a form of PTSD. I have it as a civilian. I did not serve in the military forces. And what creating these fires does for me, today was a little bit of a different experience because I was doing it in the moment with people here and with a timeline. But for me, this is so healing. I also lead mindfulness in nature practices and workshops. And to me, mindfulness is being in the moment. And for me, when I work on building these sculptures and it looks like they're taking off, the one's taking off, when I get done talking, I'll light the second one. And so I have always loved fire. I've always loved nature. So for me to work on building, and I've also always loved art. So for me to work on building these sculptures, which I normally don't do in town, this was a whole nother aspect to look at. I knew this space, I've been here many times, but when I came here to think of doing a fire, I'm like, this building has a metal roof, that garage is really close, that garage has an asphalt roof, that has an asphalt roof, and that has an aging asphalt roof. I have to take all of these things into consideration. I borrowed the water cans from the DNR, which is very thankful to borrow them. I think we're fine. I'm planned for we to be fine, but I'm also planned for safety, which is part of living life with complex PTSD. And so when I'm working on these sculptures, which I do for fun, is I'm in nature. I am collecting wood. I know that I'm going to have a fire. Fire is very, humans and our predecessors have been communing and collecting and gathering around fire forever. I mean, through our evolution. So to be together around fire, and fire, unless you've had trauma with fire, fire usually warms our heart and calms our brain. So we have a little bit of breeze, but y'all can smell the smoke, but it looks like we're going in the right direction away from the garages, and things are taking off. So when I'm in nature building these, I'm in the moment. I love fire. I know that that's what's going to happen in the end, but I'm also just having fun. I'm hearing the birds. I'm hearing the wind. I am thinking, but I'm thinking about the fire that's going to happen. I'm thinking about the wood that I'm collecting. I'm problem solving, but not life's problems, not dealing with other humans. I'm problem solving something that I have control over, and I'm also being creative. So this is a very healing process for me. And as one person whose land I build fires on quite often is like, well, it's better than basket weaving down at the local wherever. So it is often I do kind of weaving. And what you see here is one that's kind of more sculptural and one that's kind of more just freeform put together. And it's kind of the evolution of where I started. When I started doing this, and I've always built them to burn, is people have said to me, like, wow, that's so beautiful, the wood sculpture you built. How long did it take? And doesn't it hurt you to burn it? And I'm like, oh, you don't know how much I like fire. So this is taking off, we're doing fine, and it's looking safe. And so that's a little bit about why I'm doing this, how I connect to this event. Caitlin and I are friends. I helped her talk about planning this, and she's like, will you be part of this? So, and we can see it's getting hotter as the flames started going up straight. There's a little breeze, but we're all safe. And she mentioned one of the last ones I did. I'm becoming more creative and sculptural. I always built them, from the beginning I built them to have an interesting fire. And then it's evolved to have an interesting sculpture that also makes an interesting fire. And this one, I hope that you kind of notice, like, the difference between most fires is I didn't start this one at the bottom. And so this one is built to be started up on top. And, that's kind of an unusual aspect. It's eventually going to fall. It'll be safe. That's kind of the little bit about what this is for me and how I kind of fit here today. And fire, I think fire is comforting for most of us. So, any questions? So, I get that question. So I brought the wood here yesterday, and I started building today about 11 o'clock.
It's now a little bit after 2, and you've seen I've been here. So it took an hour and a half, 2 hours to build the one that's on fire. But I have a question for you, because I get this question so often, and we have other art, this is about art. What is going through, if you're comfortable saying, what's going through your mind? What are you thinking that has you ask me how long did it take? Okay, thank you. Yeah, so it's always it's always interesting to me when people come to like, how long did that take? And that's like their first question, because when I'm being creative, like one of my answers to people is, when I'm doing this, I'm in nature, I'm being creative, I'm having fun, I'm using my body, I'm getting exercise. I don't keep track of time at all. So it's always interesting to me, and yet that's the most common question I get. And I started to put it back into like, what's going through your brain that has you ask me that? Because I know you're not submitting an invoice to the accountant for what I created. So I'm always glad, and thank you for saying that. So another question.
How did you find out that fire was beneficial for you? Repeat the question.
Yeah, no, thank you, yeah. So the first question, if you didn't figure it out, the first question was how long did it take to build that one? The next question was, how did I find out that fire was beneficial or helpful or healing to me? Great question. Just as my child had a lot of struggles that I just had to adjust to, and I knew that those felt yucky, I grew up with a wood stove heating our house. I grew up in Crawford County, north of Prairie du Chien a little bit, not far from the Mississippi River. So I grew up by 7 or 8 helping tend the wood stove. I liked that. But I do remember, I was probably 11 or 12, the first time that I saw a dead Christmas tree burn. I still remember that. And I like to collect Christmas trees and burn them about 3 to 4 months later when they're nice and dry. And it brought me so much joy. And so burning brush piles, doing other stuff like fire, it brought me joy, or like it was more comfortable. But it was in my early adulthood where I started having campfires with friends, and it was 30 years ago that I collected my first Christmas trees off the curb and burned them in a park without a permit. But no bad things. So I knew that fire makes me feel good. I love fireplaces. I heat with a wood stove now. Like, on an 85-degree day, getting next to a fire isn't that fun. Y'all are comfortable sitting there and watching it. But, think of that radiant heat from the fire that warms us and comforts us. It's just like the radiant heat from the sun. One more? Thank you for time. And so it was just self-evident. One more question, and then I'll light the other one. Any other question? All right, I'll go light the other one. Oh, yeah. Oh, you'll put that in, yeah. All right, thank you.
Roger Reynolds, everybody. Thanks so very much. I think this was announced previously, but once again, if you want to get any orders in the kitchen, they are kind of in the process of shutting down. So you can still shop and get some groceries in the store area, but if you're interested in drinks or food from the cafe, please place those orders now.